Hi everyone, it's day 26 of the Vendée Globe, and joining me today is Dee Caffari, former competitor of the Vendée Globe and multiple around the world race winning sailor. So let's bring her in.
Hi there.
There she is. So it's Friday, so we can be a little bit more relaxed today. Um, what do you make of the current situation? Obviously, sad news about Sam and Seb. Look like they're heading towards Cape Town.
Well, we thought the crisis was over when Jean Le Cam rescued Kevin, and then obviously we had two front runners having a collision and having quite severe damage that they're trying to look at. And we had the sad news today of Sebastian Simon saying that his race was over. So we've just got everything crossed that Sam can look at the damage and make a fix that she's comfortable and confident with so that her race can continue. But it's a really difficult situation. But we're safe that Alex is into Cape Town, so we know he's all in one piece, and his is more now the emotional and mental recovery from what's happened and the devastation about his race. But yeah, it's another week gone by, and it's been full of activity.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously not unusual. Been a lot of discussion on the internet about the amount of debris in this part of the world. I certainly had experience in my race hitting an object 400 miles west of Cape Town. What do you think about this part of the world? Is it likely to be sort of debris in the water that's causing a problem?
Well, it's a really interesting location because we've got the meeting of oceans. We've got a really strong Agulhas current that's coming down with the warm nutrients from the Indian Ocean further north. We've got a lot of river runoffs in that area as well. So that's bringing everything down with quite a mixture of weather there. So whether it's tree trunks or debris from rivers, there is a bit of shipping, but that does disappear from the area. But obviously, they have their goods on board. They've got fishing, a lot of fishing in there because it's nutrient rich. So there's a lot of potential for things to go in the water. Plus, we've got an abundance of wildlife. So it really is kind of the meeting of everything. So you've got weather, oceans, and potential things in the water. And what it always is always unclear. But we've seen a lot of evidence that there's stuff in the water to hit down there.
Yeah, and I know it's a difficult conversation to have in terms of marine wildlife. Some of the boats have fitted systems to help them track wildlife. Is it time that we take a fresh look at this and perhaps really try and understand some of the migratory routes of some of the big animals down there? It's obviously a discussion that needs to happen.
I think it's essential, and I think it's essential for our sailors' welfare and the boat's structural reliability, but also for the wildlife. We're in their territory, in their environment that we're invading, and we want to work alongside them, not destroy them in the process. I mean, we always talk about unidentified floating objects because we don't want to be there and say we hit a whale because it's heartbreaking, and all the environmentalists get really upset and the animal lovers, and it's never intentional. But we do have this problem and we do need to address it. And I think technology has been great. This race we're talking about, the Oscar, which is the infrared cameras on the mast, allowing them to see what's ahead. Some of the sailors have integrated that with their autopilot system. So there's a level of AI coming in which can help, but obviously it's about trust and reliability and making that work. And we've also got the pingers on the keels as well, but we haven't really had the opportunity to fully test them. And I think this technology is developing, but not at the same speed as the technology for speed is developing.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
our boat speed is getting there much quicker than this technology that could basically support the animal wildlife down there.
yeah, yeah. Now Sam had a very nasty collision and stopped the boat at 20 knots. Um, you know, the damage looks difficult to repair, and obviously we don't really know what's underneath the boat, and she won't know that until she inspects and has a look. But heading to Cape Town, are you optimistic she might rejoin?
It's a really difficult decision, and my heart is really feeling for her at the moment because in her project, her story being told and the clicks and the likes and the messages of support and the shares of her story all generate revenue for the charity that does the work for the heart conditions for the children from disadvantaged areas. So her race is so much more than the sporting aspect, if you like. So I think everybody is willing her to get back in this race, but it's a really difficult decision because she has to have confidence in her boat to go into the Southern Ocean. She's obviously looking at how long a repair would take, how long she needs, and also where that would put her with the rest of the fleet. We've seen recently with Kevin and Jean Le Cam, you don't want to be too far from everywhere else, everyone else, because your rescue is your closest competitor. So I think there's a lot of decisions that need to be considered here. And let's not forget, can she physically, has she got the materials on board to do a repair that the architects and her team, and more importantly herself, are really confident with? So my fingers are crossed, but it'd be devastating for her after 2012 having to retire as well from that race. And her preparation has been fabulous for this race. She's had so much confidence in the boat. The development has been step by step. She's been getting faster and faster and more competitive. And I really had her pegged for a podium spot. I thought if she just hangs in that front peloton, it's hers for the grabbing. So I'm devastated for her.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. What it does mean is obviously some of the older IMOCA boats. We're now seeing a good handful of them in the top 10, and of course that's the history of this race. It's not always the fastest boats that finish this race. It's reliability is key as well. But what do you think to see so many of the older generation boats occupying the higher places at the moment?
I think it's great. And as you say, this is the story of the Vendée Globe. It's not the biggest budget. It's not the newest, fastest boat. And it's a war of attrition. And that old adage of to finish first you have to finish. I had to get that the right way around then. But it's never so true as in the Vendée Globe. But we're seeing some remarkable performances. We are going to see some of the non-foiling boats have their own issues. And I believe, not all of those are going to continue and get to the end. But it's nice to see the mix, and I think it gives confidence for people looking at this as a future project of you don't need the biggest budget or the newest boat. You need reliability, confidence, and to be in tune with your boat so that you can deliver the performance that you need to get to the finish line.
Yeah. Right, well, let's have a quick look at, I've got a short video of Sam and Seb, which we'll have a quick look at, and then we'll have a look at the positions and the weather. So this was Sam.
Il y a des dégâts. En plus de mes côtes.
Toute la calebasse du puits de foil est explosée. Voilà.
Du coup là je suis dans le puits de quille et un peu d'eau parce que le trou où il y a le vérin, ça s'est fissuré.
Je sais pas les mots en fait. J'avais décidé de rester prudent en plus.
So yeah, pretty heartbreaking, really, and certainly you mentioned Seb is looks like he's retiring. You say with the damage he's got. So let's just keep our fingers crossed for Sam. Eh?
That's for sure. I mean, it was interesting that the initial damage that Seb saw was his foil, but the knock-on effect of that is a lot of other issues on his boat. He's got a bulkhead issue, he's got a rudder issue, and there's a lot of water ingress. So, the knock-on effect was a lot more repair work to do. So that's what Sam's looking at of, yes, I hit the keel, but what's the knock-on effect of that? And we're lucky that she bruised her ribs. She could have been a lot worse with an impact that stops the boat speed at 20 knots. So we have to remember, the sailors are safe, and that's important.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the current weather situation. This was at lunchtime today. Still this ongoing high pressure giving the fleet some headaches. What do you think?
Yeah, you look at that and think that they'd be happy for some easy conditions in the south, but that group with Armel Tripon, with L'Occitane, they're skirting along the bottom of that ice limit, and they're going to get caught in that high pressure over the weekend, I think. I suspect it's going to be a little bit puffy for them and a bit messy. So they need to be very cautious that they're not too close to that ice limit and get penalised for that.
So we could really see a big split opening up with the first sort of group of 10 to 12 boats hanging on to this deep depression ahead of them. And if we just run through over the next, that's tomorrow lunchtime, and then into the weekend, as you say, that high, even really dipping down way below the ice gate, giving them a problem. But for the boats coming in the second group behind, Charal and of course Miranda is in there, and Pip, they've got a fabulous opportunity to really ride this new depression coming in and really get back in the race.
I think it's great. I mean, yes, we're going to see the front pack pull ahead, as you say, and that separation is going to increase. But the pack at the back are going to close into that middle group. So we're going to end up back with two groups. And I think that'll allow them to almost restart their race on that second pack. So I think that'll be quite exciting. And I think everyone's realised on the racecourse this week that sailing in company is much preferable to being out there on your own.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look at the routing for Louis. This was this morning, and it looks like that lead group, the first three, have got some really, really fantastic Southern Ocean sailing ahead. This is a week out. They could be passing Cape Leeuwin off Australia, and it just looks like a dream forecast with the high pressure to the north and these lows to the south. What do you think?
Absolutely lovely. I mean, it's all about the timing of these initial jibes. The first jibe to go down towards the Kerguelens, and then that timing of that next jibe that then just gives them the one track all the way south of Australia. It's just going to be lovely, because the stressful time in the Southern Ocean is the manoeuvres, and it generally happens after the front. So you're in quite gusty, hardcore conditions. So if you can reduce your manoeuvres, your stress levels drop amazingly, and hopefully they can just enjoy the ride. The Indian Ocean's always a bit messy, and they've been talking about kind of uncomfortable sea state and gusty conditions. But if they can take this train, which looks lovely, get them into the Pacific, where everything just all gets better, the waves get longer, everything seems easier, and it's the best sailing they're ever going to do.
Brilliant. As ever, Dee, fantastic to catch up. It's getting a little bit cold here today. I had to put the heating on today, so but it's a whole different world from what they're experiencing down there. I think I'm probably getting a little bit soft, but
it does make you feel guilty being warm and dry. You feel like you should be out there in the cold and the wet just to have some sympathy with them. But I'll take watching them on a screen this year.
So that was Dee Caffari giving us the benefit of her knowledge and insight. For the middle group, stuck in that high pressure over the weekend, good luck. It's going to be some tough sailing. But for the leaders, you're about to let rip in the Southern Ocean, and it's going to be a fantastic run to Cape Leeuwin in Australia. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.